back to the next car game. Today we're going to be following the life and career of Mr. Bob Johnson. He's a bit of a racing enthusiast. His first race is obviously as a part of this small gravel pit, this small track, just in his local town of Bobington. You know, he's always wanted to race, even from a very young age. He raced with his sisters, who were all much older and more manly than he was. He originally was racing this as a tricycle, but when he came to the age of 10, his father gave him a car, and this is actually him driving this car on his 10th birthday. So, I mean, he probably shouldn't have put him in kind of like a rally race where all the cars are trying to break each other. But hopefully hopefully he'll survive. I mean, he is a peasant, so we're not necessarily too worried. Oh god, this is getting a bit messy. Ah! So, oh dear. I think, to be fair, Mr. Bob is doing quite well. I mean, he's 17th out of 24, and he's not dead. I mean, he is a kid. His car's pretty wrecked. All the people around him are a little bit destroyed and wrecked, and so it's a bit dangerous. Probably shouldn't be doing this at 10 years old, but you know, he didn't really have much choice. His father wanted him to become a really famous racer, so that's what he's trying to do. Get out of my way. Here we go. Nice. Okay, just managed to make him fly off the track. Whoop. So Mr. Bob's already developing a bit of an aggressive racing strategy here. I think he likes pushing cars off the track. Oh, I think unfortunately the damage to the car is making seeing the track a little bit difficult. It's kind of obscuring quite a lot of his view, so his survival oops, probably isn't the best. I mean, his engine's pretty wrecked. I mean, he's not necessarily looking to win this race. I mean, he's kind of just wanting to get through, seeing if any kind of talent scouts looking for young 10-year-old boys will go, yeah, he's something to invest in. He's got his old car, his old beat up racing vehicle that his dad kind of bought for him. He's doing okay, you know, he's doing pretty good. But I mean, he's not really got the skill that quite a lot of these racers have. And as you can see, he's not quite handling the corners as well as he should. I mean, that's actually something that's going to afflict him his entire career. Oh dear. So you can see many of his fellow racers kind of doing that. So we're on lap 2 out of 3, and the track is pretty much barren. You know, we're occasionally seeing other cars, but there's quite a few smoking wrecks. I mean, that first lap is the lap to try and survive, the lap in which the majority of the damage. Oh, almost swung off and hit a tree there. And Mr. Bob kind of let it go for a second. Oh, there's a car snuck up on his right hand side in his blind spot. It's really rather difficult not being able to see a thing. Oh, there we go, came right around his inside. This is Mr. He recognized him. This is actually his brother in a very similar car, John, and his father is his twin brother, and his father's actually said, right, between the two of you, I'm only going to invest in one, and I'm only going to love one. So this is a bit of a, unfortunately it looks like John's going to get the love from the father, so Bob's only hope is to get an investor in this race who looks at him and goes, you know what, that 10-year-old there, that's the rally driver I want to survive. Oh. Bob appears to be taking some risks here to try and catch up with John. I mean, it's understandable. I think every young boy wants his father's approval. Obviously, is it fair for Bob to take all of the approval? I mean, John has every right, just like Bob. So, I mean, I guess that's up to other people to decide. Bob's never really quite managed that corner. That corner's been his undoing. Somehow, Bob appears to have teleported into first position. Oh, now he's back in 14. I completely understand how that happened. But, yeah. Oh, it looks like he's actually managed to catch up with John by crashing. I mean, that's the number one way you can catch up to cars in front of you, is by crashing. That's generally, it's kind of an accepted form of beating people in races. If you manage to crash into a wall, you're actually going to beat whoever's in front. So yeah, we should probably do that more often. It looks like Bob's sticking to the tried and tested tactic of not crashing. I mean, most people do that, but he occasionally throws in a bit of a curveball, and I think we're probably just going to come in just behind, unfortunately. So we got 12th place there out of 24. You know, it's kind of halfway through. Quite a nice early race for Bob and his career. So we'll see how that goes. And we're back with race 2 of the young Bob's career. He's actually 10.5 now. It's been about a month since the last race. He had a particularly shady character come up to him at the end of the last race, and in exchange for certain backseat favors, which it's a dark moment in his history. He's not gonna really like remembering them, but he's managed to secure himself a new car because the old one was pretty wrecked, and he's moved on to another race. And he's secured some of the winnings from last time. You know, if you come 14th, I think you get £5. So he spent £5 on lunch, and that lunch lasted him for a month. He has his new car, a new paint job, and unfortunately this race still isn't kind of like in the big leagues. It's still kind of like a sand pit rather than tarmac and actual roads. So he's kind of in the middle of a race with a bunch of other young boys. All trying to make their fathers proud. John, his brother, actually died in the last race. We didn't see it, but at the end of the race, he just kind of keeled over in a heart attack. So Bob is the sole son, and the father gave him all the support and love that he could possibly want. I think he bought him McDonald's. So there you go. He had 2 meals for the month. So Bob is really having to understand that he's gonna. Oh wow. Straight away, Bob's done his usual trick of limiting how much we can actually see on the screen. Oh god, flying cars everywhere. It's quite a tight corner coming around here. So, I mean, Bob's still alive, and it's coming up to about 3/4 through the first track, I think. Hopefully, this might be a really long track. Oh, he lost control a bit on that corner, but doesn't look to be the only one to have done so. Oh dear, Bob just had a pretty tough time of it there. You can hear all the cars racing around to the right before he try and find his way back on the track. And he's back on the I think he may have just driven over the track. Bob is seriously struggling at this point. He's quite far behind in the listings. He managed to find his way back onto the track somehow. He's on his second lap. 14th place, so it's kind of his usual halfway house. Wow, he could not handle that corner well at all. Okay, right. He's found the brake pedal. You know, this is his second race. It's the second time he's actually been in a car, and he's realised what this particular pedal does, and he's actually found the brakes. So you'll probably see him using them more often now. If only he could see the track in front of him, that would make this whole thing a hell of a lot easier. Okay, look at this. He can handle his corners much better now. Fortunately, he can't see the track if it's below him. It's one hell of a hairy part. Oh, he found another car that was just kind of sitting there on the track. There we go. Looks to be no one behind him, so he's got a nice gap. It appears that there are 11 cars left. I think they're probably all in front of him. There's no one kind of... Oh, he almost went off in exactly the same place he went off last time. But as you can see, the ridiculous fire, this part of the track seems to be covered in quite a few other cars that haven't necessarily made it round. And Bob's not really doing very well. He's struggling. He is in 9th place. I think this shady character may have signed him out to a race in which these cars are all a little bit more crazy and a little bit more prone to being wrecked. Oh, he just sideswipes. Bob at this point is a little bit concussed. He's crying for his dad. He's saying he doesn't like racing anymore, but he needs to finish to get the pay, or else the bad man is gonna take him into his car again, which is not it wasn't fun. It's not something a young boy necessarily do when he wants to be a young racer. It's not going to be good for his career. Oh dear. He's found a tractor. I mean, he always wanted to be a tractor driver when he was young. Oh, you can hear some cars behind him, so he's now worried that he's going to get lapped. Oh, no. I mean, it is kind of hard to see the road when the windscreen is covered in broken parts of your vehicle. There's no vehicles right behind him. You can hear them, so hopefully they're not going to come up. Wait a minute, where do I go? I think I need to go this way. Obviously Bob's getting quite lost now. There we go. He's made his way around. Unfortunately, you can hear a bunch of cars coming up from behind him, so we can't let them beat him. He's refusing to let them beat him, and he comes in 8th. Fantastic. And there, followed by the ghost of his young brother. So 8th place. I mean, it's not the best of results you could have hoped for. The track is pretty wrecked. Bob himself is crying. He's sitting in his seat crying, but I mean, it's just to wait to see what happens next in his career. This is it. This is the track. This is the big leagues. Bob, I mean, he didn't do too well last race. He only came in 8th. So to get to this point, his father actually had to mortgage their house and sell himself into slavery. But he did so knowing that Bob is going to be successful and is going to be able to buy him out. Because you know he's put his whole faith in Bob. Bob is now an 11-year-old. This is his big shot. He's a king. He's a rising star, and this is his chance for glory. So we're going to follow him in his race around the big green. And as you can see, he's right at the front of the pack. There's just chaos behind him. All the cars are just seeming to try and kill each other. I mean, they're quite far behind. There he is. It's his first time ever being in first place. There's a lot of chaos behind him. His cars try to... Really? The freaking thing again? But unfortunately he's got someone on his tail almost immediately. He's hitting these corners a bit too hard. Probably shouldn't have braked so quickly. Now he's got to face off with other cars. So he's seeing the dream of victory and his father's imminent life of slavery kind of slipping away from him. And he's suddenly realised with some cold and shocking certainty that the car in front is actually a reanimated automatron bearing his brother's face. Some dodgy dealers have actually brought up this tiny red car and filled him with what was once his brother and his brother's skills. So he's fighting Robot John. So at this point, Bob is filled with an intense determination to win, so he can not only save his father but avenge his brother, his loving brother, who died at the end of the first race from sudden and complete heart failure. I mean, Bob's never been one for good corner management. His brake work has never really been spot on, and unfortunately that's come to pay the price in lap 2 of 3 in his main race in which he's now basically lost. He's in 10th place, 24. There are cars everywhere, just wrecked, and he's trying to take each corner as they come. Unfortunately, he may have just destroyed a car behind him, but at this point he just doesn't care. Doesn't care about the other young boys who are literally being torn limb from limb. He just wants to win. He wants to fight his brother, avenge his brother, and rescue his dad, and become a famous racer like he's always wanted to do since he was at least 8, which was about 2 years ago. So, I mean, he's still kind of almost getting over the shock of the last race in which he saw about 10 young boys dead, and he barely made it through himself. I think he may be regretting his decisions, most of his life decisions up to this point. He's also realised his father may actually be in a little bit of, like, clinically insane. He might actually need some proper psychological help, but at this point, thinking about these sorts of things just isn't helping him. He's just focused on trying to make it through the race. I mean, At this point, he's still kind of worried about coming in first. But as you can see, he's got people all around him trying to fight him, but he's been beating them off. He did manage to make them crash. Everyone around him seems to be crashing. Everyone's getting a bit too aggressive in this final lap, this final race. But unfortunately, at this point, he's lost. His dreams have gone. He was in 14th place, back where he originated from. Oh dear. This is it, guys. This is the eclipse. Bob lost his big chance at fame and fortune and money. His father's a slave. His brother's an automatron who went on to win and is now super famous, but dead. He himself had to do some horrible things for the shady character who invested in him, who has also just fixed up his car and him for one last bout to try and make some money in a derby. This isn't even a race, this is kind of like the scrapings of humanity, and he's unfortunately sitting in his vehicle wondering what the hell he's doing. He's backing away. He doesn't really know what's going on. I mean, these cars are looking like they're just trying to kill each other. So I think he's scared. I mean, he's a 10-year-old boy, and he's 11 now, but he's terrified about what's going to happen. He's just kind of trying to survive. All he has to do is be the last one standing, but there are cars everywhere. They're all fighting. He's going for it. He's going to try and take someone out. He side rams this fellow, who then gets side rammed again. He's got some damage on his left. He's being too aggressive. He needs to chill out, but unfortunately he just can't make his way out of the group. That's okay. If you keep moving, you'll be less of a target. He's trying to play this smart, knowing that at any moment he may die. He wants to live. He's realized cars are for idiots, and he wants to live, be a happy young boy, go back to school, learn how to be an astronaut. He's going to be an astronaut, he's decided. Unfortunately, he only has his mum left, and his mum was never really around when he was young. His dad's a slave, so I think this young boy, his hopes and his dreams and his chances at a good life have pretty much all but disappeared. He can't see a thing, so he's going to have to try and drive by looking out at the tiny little left portion of his windshield. His engine's pretty wrecked, and he's just trying to get driving around in circles, trying to avoid all of the cars. There's only 2 cars have gone down, 22 more to go. He's just kind of hoping that he's going to be able to survive. He's going to try and go for the center, and he made it. I mean, he could probably try and take someone out. He's going to look for a target, try and take some glory. Fortunately, he didn't quite get that one. I mean, he hit it, but it didn't take him out. So he did quite a lot of damage. Still 22 cars left on this field. He's beginning to think that he should maybe try and reverse into these vehicles. 21 cars left. If he really tries, he has a real chance of winning this. Or at least surviving. I mean, it's not really going to do him much good if he survives. He's just trying to make money for other people, his investors. As you can see, there's quite a few cars all over the place. They're all pretty wrecked, they're all pretty brutal. But Bob he just wants to get out. And he's free! Bob is now free. Bob can actually see where he's going. His engine is complete, and he's got a new lease of life, which he decides to wreck by jumping into a fence. He's realizing he's enjoying himself. He's actually pretty successful at this. Although his car is pretty wrecked, he's realized he's loving this. There we go, not too much damage lost there. Let's try and take some cars on. He's gonna go for this yellow little bastard here. Unfortunately, that didn't do too much good. There's 11 opponents left. He's more than halfway through. If he can survive till the end, there's a chance he may go on. He may actually continue and claw his way back into the topmost, the best of the racers. And he's taking a moment to assess the battlefield here. There's 10 more guys left. All of these cars are pretty wrecked. Most of them are pretty damaged. There's smoking piles of children just cooking in wrecked vehicles. But Bob knows he doesn't want to be one of them. He wants to be a winner. And he had his chances cruelly taken from him because he sucks at driving. But he keeps on hitting the side. It's almost like he's just trying to commit suicide by car crash. Oh dear. Complete screeching and grinding of metal isn't a good sign. His car probably isn't in the best of shapes. His wheels are twisted. His steering is unresponsive. It's jerky, but he knows that him and his car are a team, and he wants to try and take someone down, but he's also very aware that his engine is in a lot of trouble, so he's just trying to pick the perfect moment. The side slam or engine slam at an opposing car. Here he goes. But he still didn't quite manage it. 4 opponents left. Here's a chance. He sees it. He's wary. He doesn't want to ruin it now, as after coming so far. He sees 2 of his opponents, and he's wrecking one. He's pushing them. He's continually pushing him up. But he's also in a lot of trouble. He's got some pretty severe damage to his front. You can actually see parts of the engine sticking up where they shouldn't be. So he's decided to become a hero, and he's going to be reversing the rest of the race. So he's looking out for a target. Fortunately, reversing does mean your steering is also reversed. Where is that guy? Can't really see where he's going. His wheels aren't very responsive. And he's given up on that plan. Fortunately, he's not really being able to take these guys out very well. He's pretty wrecked. There's still 4 opponents left. He took an enemy down. Got a nice takedown. All of his enemies seem to be pretty suicidal. There we go. Here's a bad guy. How the hell did that not take him down? He's just trying to pick his enemies off at this point. Look at the wheel coming out of the front of this vehicle here. Oh dear. This car is pretty wrecked. It's just not really responding the way it should. There's a vehicle down in the center here. He's going for. Took him down. Another side swipe. So there's only 1 opponent remaining. 2 takedowns. He's looking for him, scanning. All you can see is twisted metal and dead boys. Can anyone see him? Where is he? Probably just scanning. He's turned into a Spartan hunter. He's just looking for a victim. He cannot see. He cannot see where his opponent is. He's found him. He's going for the kill. Fortunately, he's got critical damage. It might mean another hit to the front is his end. I don't know how he managed to survive this, but he's seen his opponent now. He's going to do all he can to wreck him. So now he's going to go for the kill if he can. Fortunately, his front is pretty wrecked, so he really should be using his rear. Which is actually really good. He's going to do his best to push back. He's got a more powerful engine. He's going to basically follow this bitch and try and take him out. As soon as he finds him. Where on earth is he? It's an epic duel between the 2 of them. But unfortunately, it doesn't really seem like we're going to have an easy victory here. Where on earth is... Oh no! Bob was taken out at the end by an evil and an arch nemesis. It's not his brother's off being famous and dead, but he decided that the red car was his main bad guy. As you can see, the smoking wreckage of 23 young boys dead in their vehicles, burning up and broken. He's looking back in his life as his blood and his life start to seep through his bones onto the floor, and he's filled with regret. And his last thoughts are of how much he hated the last episode of Lost.